Yo, coming to you live from World Championship in San Jose. Welcome to the Living Legends podcast.
So hello, welcome back to the Living Legends podcast. My name's Az. I'm your host for today, and as always, joined by my favourite content creators in the sphere and friends at this point, and that's first of all Bill from the Spike Feeders.
Hello, everybody. I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. I do have to quickly address some misinformation that's been spreading via our friends on the Banished Zone.
Right. Yeah.
Jim from FAB TCG Cards is a cool guy, and I like him, but he is not my brother. I know Bryn immediately changed that, like immediately followed up and said that, but I just wanted to still clown because it's really funny.
We've said that a few times on here as well, haven't we? We were like, oh, the Jim from FAB TCG Cards.
Yeah, that's why we have to use his full title.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I'd like to give a shout out to the Banished Zone too, because like I know they're not one of the bigger podcasts out there, but I've been listening to them a little bit here and there as they do other things, and I think it's a fun discussion. And Bryn is also in a really good band, like seriously.
All right.
So go check that out. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. If anyone out there likes bands like Brand New, so if anyone knows about the band Brand New, very similar.
Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah, they got a nice format as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a nice format, just like two of them sat there with the microphone sort of thing, so it's nice. And also joined as always by Red Zone Rogue, where you're seeing this video if you're watching or if you're listening on Spotify and what have you.
How's it going, everyone? We have a really fun episode this week. We're going to talk about some awesome cards, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so people that have clicked on this is going to be our top 5 cards of this year. So, last year, 2022. So our last year, our favourite cards from a myriad of different sets. Going to be fun. A nice little smattering of things on there. Some what you probably would expect, others you probably not wouldn't expect.
I think our lists are going to be a lot different than like a lot of other folks' lists. Like we're not picking like the best cards, the most powerful, most meta relevant. We have our own reasons for picking the cards, and I think that's what's going to make this a really fun video.
Yeah, I did want to make sure that point was hit. That like these are not the top 5 most impactful cards. Yeah, these are the top 5 cards that make my Kokoro go Doki Doki. So
exactly.
Fantastic. Yeah, so our favorite cards of 2022, as everyone's just said there, not necessarily the meta choices or anything like that. That's not what we're about here on LL Pod, as we call it in our own separate chat.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, before we go into that, we'd like to just do a little roundup of stuff that we've done this week, if anything at all. So does anybody want to kick this off with our weeks in Fab? Anything we've been doing out of the ordinary?
I really haven't done much. This week. A lot of this week has just been like, surviving the week, basically.
Yeah.
It's just been like, helping Robin with things, kind of getting back into the swing of like content creation. Hopefully I'm back in full swing on Monday, which would be the Monday before this podcast comes out. I really haven't done much, to be honest, other than make.
I don't think your room tour video was out last time we spoke on the podcast, so that was a good fun video to watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was something that was just requested of me a few times last year, and I was like, I'll save it for a good moment. I was like, the beginning of the year is like the perfect time, because if I do this once every year, it's a good like time capsule to see how like things change and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was fun, and I'm really strapped for time these days, so it was honestly another like sort of easy video to do. Even with the little montage at the beginning, it was still like pretty quick. So that's what.
It's nice to like look in your studio or room and just see like the things you've procured on your adventures for that year, isn't it? So it would be quite a nice yearly video, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. What about you, Bill? Anything this week?
I didn't end up getting to play any cards, unfortunately, but I've had like kind of a kick of productivity recently, and I had a project that I think I mentioned like a few months ago that I have so much bulk just everywhere
Oh god, yeah.
Like I had 2 full 5 rows of just commons from Welcome to Wraith, and like they weren't fully sorted. They were at least loose sorted into class. Like I think one of the 5 rows was just class commons, and the other 5 row was just generic commons.
Yeah.
So one of my projects was to actually go through, just take out a playset of every card from each set and make like a master set. And I had done that for Welcome to Wraith and Uprising, and then like lost all willingness to do it. But I'm trying to clean up my desk. I'm trying to just sort of make this space a little bit better for myself. And I made my master set for Dynasty.
Ooh, nice.
Completed it. And so now this is a playset of every color of every card in the set, except for the Majestics, which I'm missing just like a couple of. But everything below Majestic, I have exactly a playset of, and now I know that I can just get rid of everything else. So
Nice.
Good idea.
See, I can't do that because I'm too crazy. In that I'm like, what if I need them for more decks? Like, what if I want to build like 3 decks and I need like 3 playsets? So I take the lazy route and don't sort them until I get to the point where I'm like, I have too much bulk, and then I just sell the bulk. You saw, like, if anyone who watched my room tour, you saw what I called the towers of power, which are like these. You can kind of see them on the. If you're for those listening, I have BCW. Like, what are they, like 4x4 boxes of like the 1,000 count boxes? Like, so it's a 4x4 cube that fits those in, and I have like many of them stacked on top of each other. Unfortunately, they're almost all full, so I'm gonna reach critical mass at some point where I'm gonna be like, I need even more space. And then my closet has just a ton of like, what I think Bill called it like the 5 rows. I have a ton of those full of other card games, mostly Force of Will, Magic the Gathering, and then like tons and tons of other stuff. So
it just gets to a point where it's too much.
I put it in the closet, and it's like I don't have to deal with it for now, but later it's gonna be bad.
Oh yeah, it's like one of those closets. You go to open a door and everything falls out. It's just like, oh bloody hell, it's all flying out.
It's just like it's just a giant stack of them, and then next to them another stack of them, and on top of them are anime figure boxes, because that's something apparently that you do if you collect figures is you keep the boxes. So I just have a ton of boxes.
Yeah, I'm imagining one of those as seen on TV late night infomercials for Tupperware where they open up the closet and it's just like a torrential downpour of Tupperware, except it's empty anime figurine boxes.
Just tits and ass, and you. Oh, never mind.
That's how I'd want to die.
Absolutely. Oh, great. On that same wavelength, really. To be fair, I was doing the same thing. I opened up a load of boxes recently and just hadn't sorted any of it. So I was literally just sorting out all my cards as well. Haven't been doing anything else really this week. A couple of streams, just hanging out, sorting the cards at the same time. Nice. But people that are watching this or listening to this might have already seen the Go Again Gaming Open Tournament 5, which is happening tomorrow when we're speaking about this right now. So I've done a lot of prep for that as well, because there's a lot of like stream scenes and stuff that I switch in between and live and that to make it look good. So another thing I'm also doing as well. So yeah, definitely check that out. And if you haven't done so already at this point.
Nice, very cool.
But yeah, without further ado, we can go into our top 5 cards of 2022. So this was last year at this point. So this features cards from the sets Everfest, Uprising, and Dynasty. Is that right?
Yep.
I got that right? Nice.
There's also some amount of cards. I was considering maybe adding, this is, I guess, a spoiler for my list, but I didn't include Glistening Steel Blade.
Oh, yeah.
Even though like, that is a new card that was printed in 2022. So there are like a few other things, but...
I did not include this, but I would have also counted Shitty Christmas Present. If someone said Shitty Christmas Present, I would have been like, yeah, that counts.
Yeah, it counts.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I thought we could just, as we did last time when we did our favorite cards of Dynasty, we could just go around in a circle, so we're not just reading from one person's list.
Perfect.
So as the host, I'm going to throw this to somebody else. I'm going to throw this to Kel to start with his number 1. not. There's no particular order. It's just in a list of 5, right? There's no particular order.
Yeah, no particular order. Though I will save my favorite one for last.
Cool. All right then.
I kind of have mine like loosely in like least to best. But I mean, they're still my top 5, so I still love them all. So
yeah, so
nice.
All right, so yeah, the first one I want to talk about is actually a very good card and probably would make a lot of people's most hated cards lists. But I like this card for a couple of reasons. I like it for its design space. I like it for its like personal connection to me because it was the very first legendary I opened in Uprising, and I also opened it at the World Premiere event, and I also opened it in Cold Full at the World Premiere event. I'm talking about Coronet Peak.
Oh yeah,
I really love the design space of this card. I also love the art of this card. Soyme absolutely killed it. This is one of the cards that I got an artist proof of and had her do a sketch on it. Coronet Peak is an ice equipment head slot. It blocks for 2 and has blade break, but it has this really unique ability of for an action, you can pay 3 resources and force target hero to discard a card unless they pay 1. So basically what it does is it almost always forces a card out of your opponent's hand. It basically says, I demand a card. With some shenanigans here or there. I mean, if they have an energy pod or if they have a tunic ready to go, they can pay the resource through that. But barring those corner cases, this card is an equipment piece that literally demands a card out of your opponent's hand. So in some regards, it might be one of the most aggressive equipment pieces in the game, while also being a very fitting into a very controlling style deck. Because a lot of the Icelander decks that run this, they basically just want to demand cards out of your opponent's hand. And
is this seen as like a Icelander headpiece mainly, or is it mainly like a sideboard thing? Because I don't remember seeing this being played at all, like in the big events. Or I could be wrong. It's all Crown of Providence, isn't it? Most of the time.
Yeah. So in Blitz, I think this is a little bit more prominent than in CC. Where the Blitz decks they run this and they run I think all the Icelander decks run Aether Ice Vein. It's the one that deals 5 arcane damage for the red, and if you fuse, your opponent has to discard a card unless they pay 2, I think. If it deals deals arcane damage.
Just starving them of resources like in Blitz is obviously a good thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and the strategy behind that was just you wanted your deck, you wanted every card almost to demand a card out of your opponent's hand, at least.
Yeah.
And so it does that, but I really love the design space of this card. It's very unique. There's not a lot of cards outside of Ice, just in general, I guess, that have this kind of discard type mechanic. I think it's both very strong and very unique in Flesh and Blood, because you only have a 4-card hand, so forcing your opponent to discard one of their 4 cards is a big deal. So I think it's a design space that could be expanded on more, but they have to be careful with it. In any case, I really like Coronet Peak for its uniqueness, and also the art is beautiful. Also, the name the name is a pun, or it's a reference to an actual peak called Coronet Peak in New Zealand. So there's that.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so.
Awesome.
Leave a comment in the section below if you've climbed Coronet Peak. It's got to be one of you's done it.
Yeah, or do you go skiing or whatever? Is it like a ski resort? I'm not entirely sure. I googled it once. Anyway, yeah.
Maybe it's just a nice hill. We have a bunch of those. Except we don't have anything quite as regal as Coronet Peak. We have Garbage Hill.
Garbage Hill.
This is regal Coronet Peak. It's all beautiful. We got garbage. We got trash.
Garbage Hill. It's that's not a joke. In Winnipeg, there is a hill called Garbage Hill, and it's called that because it used to be a landfill, and then they sodded over it, and now it's a hill.
Okay. Oh wow, fantastic. That sounds like something you'd find in the pits, like Garbage Hill landmark.
Landfill, more like Land Hill.
Land Hill.
That's exactly how that meeting went.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But yeah, in terms of Coronet Peak, I do remember when this first came out, I was like, wait a second, this is just a way to make control decks make their opponent always dated all.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that it punishes them kind of on 2 fronts, where on 2 relevant fronts that Icelander or just control decks that are Ice in general really care about, where it removes options for your opponents to attack you, so it makes them less aggressive, and it also takes things out of their hand so that they can't defend against you as well, like they can't pitch for Arcane Barrier, etc. So, I think Coronet Peak is a great pick. And really, really cool equipment.
it also like changes, kind of like what you're saying. It changes play styles too, or changes like how you play the game, I guess I should say. Because paired with Icelander, what you do is on your turn you activate Coronet Peak, and then you hope to end the turn by arsenaling a blue card, and then you play the blue card in their turn. So you're effectively playing your actual cards on your opponent's turn, but like still ripping a card out of their hand on your own turn. I don't know. I think it's really fun. It's a cool card. Well, fun for the person playing it, I guess. Not a lot of fun for the person who's getting the cards, ripped out of their hand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So, Bill, what have you got for your first one?
Oh, well, my first one is kind of a throwback to when, like, it refers, it's good for a deck that I used to play a lot. I don't have any issues with it. I think I took it apart and then just have forgotten to put it back together. But my first card that I want to talk about today is Blade Runner from Everfest. I'm gonna pull it up here just so that I don't embarrass myself.
Yeah,
it was
top
that
5 movies.
The new Cyberpunk anime, but
also fantastic. Yes, and that also
Blade Runner is.
Oh, go ahead.
So Blade Runner is a common from Everfest. It's a warrior attack reaction. It comes in all 3 colors, costs 1 and blocks for 3 across all 3. The red version says target one-handed weapon attack gains go again, and then also your next weapon attack this turn gains +3. The reason that I loved this card so much is because when this came out, I was playing a ton of Hatchet Dorinthia. And that is a deck that requires you to have go again, like at all times. Like I'm pretty sure you play, at least before, you played Rainbow Hit and Run, you played Warriors Valors even. Like you just needed sources of go again so that you could hit with both hatchets. And the addition of not only an additional source of one-handed go again, but also as an attack reaction and in all 3 colors was just like a crazy boost to the deck. And now that I'm like remembering it again, I really want to put together, I want to put Hatchet Dorinthia back.
Dory axes.
You can use Cleave.
And I can use Felling Swing or whatever it is, the +6 just for fun.
Or is Cleave two-handed? No, it's axes. Yeah, okay.
I think it's just axe. It might be two-handed.
Target axe,
There's a bunch of cool axe stuff that I could just add in for fun. I loved playing that deck because the hatchets were actually the first ever cold foils I got, and it's the reason that I love cold foils. Foils so much. So yeah, that's my first one that I wanted to talk about. I just think it's like such a versatile card. It's just really good for the decks that want it, and the fact that it's a common is actually like very relevant. If this was like a Majestic or something and it had an even crazier like next weapon attack gets dominate or something, I think it would be much worse because you wouldn't have that many instances of it. Like I think individually as a card it would be really good, but for its function I don't think it would be quite as good for the deck. So
what my favorite part about Blade Runner is that it's one of those cards where I think the blue version is just as good, if not maybe better than the red version, because you still get that go again, which is the most important part of the card, is giving go again, right? But it also doubles as a really, really good resource in these decks where you want to do many attacks and all that kind of stuff. So if you have a high amount of redundancy in these kind of things, it's just really sweet. So
it's like for Hit and Run previously, like you would run all of them and you wouldn't feel bad about drawing any of them. In most cases, actually, I remember on turns where I really needed the go again, or I had like multiple draws of it. If I drew like 2 red Hit and Runs, that's actually worse than like a red and a blue.
Oh, for sure.
Because at least it opens up your options and actually allows you to pay for your cards. So it's one of those cards where the color almost doesn't matter. Like the effect is good enough regardless. You don't really care about the boost. So
especially in the axes as well, because obviously the axes cost you 1 to play, don't they? It's not like your Kasai and you can swing your second sword for nothing. With Dory, you have to pay for it, don't you? So
so it's just a really, really nice one to bring out, and also leans towards maybe we're getting like a Cyberpunk Dagger.
Oh, the art. Yeah, the art.
The art itself. For anybody who hasn't seen the art, there's a very steampunky warrior with a dagger walking towards what looks to be just a regular person.
Yeah.
Very menacing.
Get it?
Kill that lady. It was like, they got like steam coming
ahead
out
with knives.
What's going on there?
Wow.
Yeah.
But so that's my first one.
Nice. Cool. I've got a bit of a double whammy here because they both do the same sort of thing. And one of them was your preview card for Everfest, Kel, and that was Dreadboard. So one of the bows that was released this year. So I'll go into the reason why I like both of these things, and I think you had your finger up, so I reckon you had a tidbit to say about it.
A little bit.
But yeah, so both Release Attention and Dreadboard interact with Evasion. So Dreadboard says the static text, which is what I love about it, says arrows you control have defense reactions can't be played from hand this chain link. And Release Attention also says your next arrow attack gains a buff and defense reactions can't be played from arsenal this chain link. So I really like these cards that rule set. I don't think there's really enough of them that will come out and stay out that say that change like a vital aspect of the game. And I really like that. And I love the fact that both of these cards, if you combo them together, they just say that you can't play D-Reacts at all, which is just one of the things I like, is just getting that arrow through. So yeah, just cards that have you can't do this or you can only do this if you do this sort of rule setting cards, I think is a nice design space, although it's hard to balance because you don't want to do too much of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, really like it. I love Evasion, and I think it's something we as Rangers need to get through defenses. So I really like it.
Yeah, Dreadboard's awesome. I'm curious to see how well it's going to do in 2023 with Ranger coming out in Outsiders. If Dreadboard can make a splash, or if it's going to be all aim counters and you need like the Sandscour Great Bow or something like that. But in any case, I love like the Evasion, like Az said, and I actually used it to good effect. At a calling, I teched Dreadboard in my Lexi Blitz deck at the Team Blitz calling, and everyone was like, okay, the Oldham players are going to be in the center spot. And so and so I was like, okay, I guess I'll be center spot because I was playing with Diarmada, who was playing Kano, and I was playing with Jim, not Bill's brother Jim, the other Jim. I was playing with him. He was playing Dash, and so I was center. And the one Oldham we played against, I think we ended up going 4-3 or something like that. But the one Oldham I played against, I beat, and I beat him because I put Dreadboard in, and it made my turns really awkward because I didn't have the Voltaire to get the go again and to use it twice or whatever. But it also made his turns also very awkward to block with because I also just main decked the other card that Az mentioned, Release Attention. So I just main deck that just in general because it's a good 0 for +3. So that plus the turns where you could Dreadboard and Remorseless just means like you can't use any defense reactions. Just eat it, Oldham. And
exactly.
I won, so it worked.
Yeah.
That's
what
it's Azalea works on a very similar axis, at least like in some ways. She works on two different fronts. Like I think Ranger works on two different fronts, where it's like Lexi kind of wants to go wide and Azalea wants to go tall because she can give something dominate like on demand, but it's only one thing. Her pumps are really good and her on hits are crazy. But I think that looking at a lot of the cards that Azalea currently has access to, I think that she has a lot of similarities to Assassin, where it's like a lot of them are just straight up, I want to deal at least 1 damage so that this on hit goes off, because I'm pretty sure Azalea has some of the most punishing on hits in the game. Like it's pretty close because I mean like Guardian, like Crippling Crush and stuff. But a lot of those are gated behind you have to deal a certain amount of damage. For these, it's just I only need to deal 1. So yeah, giving your stuff the ability, like making it so that it can't be blocked by defense reactions is like super punishing for slower decks. So yeah.
Another good line as well for Dreadboard is the whole bolt and shot line as well. So you can basically load in a bolt and shot with +1. And it gets go again straight away, which is always tacked on. I know you can do that with Voltaire as well, but having that as an Azalea option on board to turn on your bolt and shots for 1 with the on hit reload thing is nice. I thought I'd mention those two, which are both basically in the same vein, and they get a nice little combo off together. So if you play the Released Attention and obviously fire an arrow while Dreadboard's out, they can't play any D-Reacts, period. So just thought I'd release attention on that one. I've released my attention very much on that one a couple of times anyway. Anyway, back to you in the studio, Bill. Oh no, it's Kels.
Yeah, I think it's Kels.
All right, so you know what? Speaking of assassin, let's talk about an assassin card. Not the first assassin card, but not the last one on my list, obviously. This one is my preview card, Eradicate. And it was really hard for me to pick one of the 3 Majestic Assassin cards. I really like all 3 of them. And by Majestic Assassin cards, I mean specifically the attack actions, Leave No Witnesses, Eradicate, and Surgical Extraction. And I really like all of them. And I was really tempted to put Leave No Witnesses. But I put Eradicate on here for a couple of reasons. One, personal attachment. It's my preview card. It was also, the first preview card for Assassin that I ever got to do, because it was obviously the first time Assassin was introduced. But it was kind of a big deal for me because it's a class that I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time, almost since I started playing this game and learned that Assassin was in the rulebook. And I was like, oh, sweet, there's best chance for a rogue to be in the game is Assassin. And so I've been looking forward to it for a very long time. And it's kind of a big moment for me to get an Assassin card. But the card itself is also like really, really sweet. So Eradicate is an Assassin attack action. It costs 1 to play. It's yellow. Attacks for 4 and blocks for 3. The fact that attacks for 4 is very important, though all of them attack for 4, just because they're all good breakpoints. It forces at least 2 forms of block, or a 0-cost defense reaction, 0 for 4 type defense reaction. I would argue anything that requires a pitch cost is basically taking 2 cards out, because 1 for pitch, 1 for the play. Anyway, but it also has a really sweet on-hit effect that is very unique. And the on-hit effect is when it hits a hero, you banish the top X cards of their deck, where X is the damage dealt by Eradicate. And then it also cares about banishing yellow cards. So anytime you banish a yellow card, while this is on the combat chain, you get to create a silver token. I love how it's like this Turbo Mill card, where it like banishes like a ton of stuff. This is one of the cards that's I think key to Assassin, because it basically says you have to block me. Like, block me. You have to prevent the damage. No one's gonna let the Eradicate hit. Like, I don't think I've ever let anyone. I've never played an Eradicate and someone was like, no blocks, like, and then didn't do a defense reaction. It's always been blocked. So I love it.
Or Oasis Respited.
Or unfortunately, Oasis Respited, which is the worst. Because if you're holding a Shred and you're attacking with Eradicate, being like, I'm going to shred the thing that they block with, and they're like, Oasis Respite, gain 1 life.
That's one of the things, because like if you're using this card, you could if that's one of your main strategies, just to do a load of damage to them, it might be worth taking out Shreds for stuff like Razor Reflex or other stuff that pushes damage instead.
Depends on the meta and depends on the kind of deck you're building. I tried to workshop a Turbo Mill deck for Blitz that surrounded Eradicate, and it was like Eradicate and then a bunch of pumps. So the ideal turn would be to play Eradicate and then like a bunch of 0-cost pumps on top of it, just to make it as big as possible. But
so you only have 2, don't you? You only have 2 or 3. You only have, so it's hard to build a deck around just 1 card, isn't it?
It's a little tricky. No, you'd also play things to get it back. So you'd play stuff like Memorial Ground and that kind of stuff,
and probably Remembrance.
Just Remembrance as well. But and like I figured it'd be the most viable in Blitz, because Blitz decks only start with 40 cards, and most people are drawing 4 cards a turn. So I was like, you might have something there. Maybe we'll get there with Outsiders, with more Assassin support. We'll see. But it's still, I love the card. And also the art, by the way, is incredible. It's just like she's just lounging on like piles and piles of dead things. Like it's pretty.
She's just taking a quick breather.
out of all of the cards that I picked, this is the one that's like the metal album cover, like 100%.
Oh god, yeah.
So that's the card.
Right, and just to add on to that as well, it's one of the only cards that that we've seen so far that say basically mill your opponent. So it's a new thing that's come in this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Banish.
All of the Assassin attack action cards mill 1. They banish 1. But this is the crazy one. This is the one that can do like a bunch. And it also synergizes with the contract mechanic, because for every single time that you do it and fulfill the contract, you can fulfill the contract multiple times. So if you hit like 4 yellow cards off of Eradicate, then you would get 4 silver, for example.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's cool. I
Nice.
like it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I'm up next, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So my next one is another one from Everfest that also is sort of a callback to when this card came out. The deck that it enabled, I played like a decent amount of, and it kind of felt bad to play because of how good it was at the time. It was a mixture of people weren't prepared for it, and also it was just like super fun to do. But the card I'm referring to is Spring Tidings, which was the Benji specialization from Everfest. So for those of you who don't remember that one or who don't know what this card is, it's a ninja attack action. Costs 0, attacks for 2, and blocks for 3, and it comes in yellow pitch. It's a majestic, so only yellow. The Benji specialization, as I said, and when it hits, you draw a card for each other attack action card with 2 or less base power that you control on the combat chain. And then it also has go again. So the most fun I think I had with this one, it was at the detriment, unfortunately, of one of our local players who likes to play Dorinthia, and just like the card was very new and the deck was very new, and he didn't quite know how to play against it yet. But I was able to string together a double Spring Tidings turn, and I'm pretty sure I drew 20 cards.
Oh wow!
And we had access to Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, which is my honorable mention in this slot as well. Had access to Breeze Rider Boots to give all of your stuff with combo go again. Like just able to put out easily like 60 damage turns, just because you draw your entire deck.
With this as well, it's interesting as well because at this point, people might have already seen it if they tuned into it. But there is a Benji playing in my Go Again Gaming tournament. So it is when you play this card as a defender of Benji, is it fairly telegraphed that they're going to do a Spring Tidings thing at the end of like a big chain?
For what I remember the deck to be, it also has changed a bit since you don't have access to Mask of the Pouncing Lynx anymore. And people are, I think it may have sort of trended up where people were really prepared for Benji, and now that people aren't as prepared for him, it may now be less likely that people have a ton of like Ironhide equipment was really the way to counter him, because then you just have a ton of block to put in front of something that doesn't come from your hand. But from what I remember, it's basically, at least the way I played it, was you play super defensively until you have at least 1 Spring Tidings and a pump spell. And then on the turn that you can go for it, you just like basically take everything. And then you attack like 2 or 3 times, and then Spring Tidings, you keep your pump, whatever it is, Razor Reflex or whatever, behind, so that you can potentially get over whatever defense they have. Then hopefully that hits, you draw some more cards. And then with that one previously, obviously you would also be able to search for the second one off of Mask. So it was a little bit more consistent to go for the really, really big turn. So that might not be the case anymore. It might be just you try to use it for a little bit of extra value, just to try to push through some extra damage on a turn where you find the ability to. But it is like pretty telegraphed. I feel like you probably wouldn't play Spring Tidings unless you've attacked at least twice. Like I don't think you would want to draw less than 2 cards off of this. So because it probably won't be it definitely won't be the first attack, and it definitely won't be, or it probably won't be the second.
Yeah.
And if you're playing against Benji, you should probably always try to at least block, I would say at least block 3 on the Spring Tidings. More if you can. 5 would be great, but you have to at least block 3 because you have to respect the ancestral empowerment. If they Spring Tidings and then you're like, okay, block with just my Ironhide, and then the ancestral empowerment, draw a card, +1, hits you, draw a bunch more cards, then you're like just dead. You
are dead
emotionally and also in the game. Yeah, like
But yeah, so that would be if Spring Tidings comes out. Like the thing that's tough though as well is you want to keep your equipment back as much as possible until the Spring Tidings. But it is also sometimes Benji can put in like a decent amount of pressure, and you want to keep cards in your hand, so you're just like, I'll just throw this in front. you have to like suppress that feeling as much as you possibly can. You need to like treat your equipment more valuably than the cards in your hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I play Lexi and Blitz, so I don't block anyway. So I'm just like, I'm not gonna block until they attack with Spring Tidings anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's my next card as well. Honorable mention because it enabled the deck really well. Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. It got banned for the wrong reasons. It was very good in Fi, and I wanted Benji to have it. He's on the card. It's his mask.
Yeah.
God damn you, Fi.
Oh well.
Yeah, Salt the Wound is the big
Salt the Wound, and even just Lava Burst.
Yeah,
like
Lava
just
Burst.
having access to a free 5 damage off of your headpiece is just kind of crazy. But yeah. Anyway, so that's my second one.
Nice. Cool. So my next one is a card that Kel is also very, very fond of. I think we're all fond of, actually. And that's Rain Razors.
Yes.
So this was a Everfest card, so Ranger Majestic. So it's a 0-cost Ranger instant. And it just says arrows have +2 while attacking this turn. It's a yellow pitch as well.
It's so good.
It is ridiculously good. It's ridiculously good. So first of all, yellow pitch, which means that
2 of them
he's got
right now.
He knew it was coming. He knew. Oh yeah, Azz is one of Azz's favorite cards. I've got cards waiting for it. But yeah, so yellow pitch obviously works with all bows because you pay for the bow, load the thing, 1 left over to fire a big arrow of some description. Normally, a lot of big arrows cost 1, so it pays for that. But yeah, it can be used as a combat trick to push 2 over for nothing, which is great for rangers because they want to hit people, as we said earlier. And as well as that, it can turn on some horrendous go wide turns in both Azalea with bolt-on shots and all that sort of thing, because it turns all of those on, baby. They all get go again. They all get the on-hit effect. It's madness. And then, obviously, with Lexi as well, I'm not too versed on what it can do, but I've seen Kel pull off some absolute shenanigans.
You can do like 20 to 30 damage turns with it. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Like 3 of a kinds and Art of Wars and Rain Razors all at once.
Well, like the best part about Rain Razors is that it's an instant and doesn't require like a target. So if it's in your arsenal, right? So if it's in your arsenal, you can just play it to clear your arsenal to load up your bow. One of my favorite plays is just to play Rain Razors with no target. Just here's Rain Razors, and then 3 of a kind. And so then all of your arrows that you draw with 3 of a kind get pumped for the whole turn. Yeah. So like, it's so sweet. Rain Razors is incredible. It's probably one of the best cards in my opinion. From this might be a spicy take, but from Everfest, I think it's one of the best cards from Everfest. It's so good. For the class,
honestly, for Azalea or for Rangers in general, I think it's perfect because there are buffs that Rangers want access to that are very awkward in like specific situations. Like I think that Razor Reflex like is so close to being such a good card because most of the attacks in both Ranger classes are like either 0 cost or 1 cost, so they get buffed by Razor Reflex. So it's great. It's just a really efficient thing. But you can never arsenal a Razor Reflex.
Yeah.
Ever. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I've been caught in that trap before.
Yeah. Oh, don't do that. That's bad. That's real bad.
But like Kel said, Rain Razors gets around that because you can just play it at any point. Just gone.
Yep.
It's perfect.
Yeah. It's also one of my least opened Majestics from Everfest. I think I've literally only opened 2. I've only opened 2 Rain Razors out of like 25 boxes. It's insane. I can't for the life of me open Rain Razors. I don't know why. Wow. It's just like doesn't want to give me Rain Razors. So I'll have to buy some foils at some point. I have a feeling they're going to be very in demand next year or this year. Year.
I think they're already in demand. Like these 2 that I got off of actually got them in a trade from a local player, and a lot of the stuff that we were trading on, it was just like, oh yeah, this card's like $2, this card's $3 or whatever, and he looks it up and it's like, oh, Rain Razors is like $10 right now.
Oh damn it!
Oh, okay.
last time I looked, it was like $3. All right, crap. Well,
yeah, I think that's what it was. Rain Razors is just a solid card, like just good.
I mean, there's. Sorry, carry on.
Oh yeah, just another quick thing. The thing that I think Rain Razors really exemplifies is how punishing certain breakpoints can be in the game. The
Yes.
fact that it's like you look at it and it's like, oh, this is just a buff for 2, like whatever, who cares? As long as it gets you to that next block breakpoint, like from 5 to 7,
Yes,
like
that's
that's
the spice.
huge. That is a gigantic difference. Even
Yeah.
2 to 4 is a big difference. So like
There's a lot of 5s in, especially Azalea, like red arrows, a lot of 5s
Yeah.
in there. So pushing up to 7 with various horrendous on
It's-
hits.
it makes a large
It
difference.
makes all of the 1 for 5 arrows incredible, and it also makes your red Bolton shots incredible too, because it takes them also to 5 if you're running Lexi and running. I guess true for Azalea and Dreadboard as well. But if your bow gives +1, it turns it into a 7, which is great because 4
0 for 7.
Yeah, 4 plus
that's
1
crazy.
from the bow plus 2 from the Rain Razors, and then it also has the on-hit effect. It's so good, and it also for Azalea and any other turns on all of your Bolton shots. So all your Bolton shots immediately get that. So
Every single one.
It's so good. Rain Razors. Is
But yeah,
incredible.
it's like there's times when you play this out of your arsenal and then gives your, like you said there, you can play it out of your arsenal. You're not stuck with it in there, and it gives all of your arrows +2 for the turn. So then you load in a Bolton shot, fire that off. That you can then reload something in, and you forget that arrow that you just loaded in is got +2 as well. Like that sleep dart that you just loaded in is actually a 7 now because it's coming in, and that turns off their hero ability for the next turn. That's like, what is going on? All this arrows coming in at me. It's just it's quite tilting, I think, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like this. But yeah, very
it's a
good.
card that I don't want to see played against me, but I would love to play against people.
My
Yeah.
favorite turns in Flesh and Blood are turns where I can play both Rain Razors and 3 of a kind. Those are my favorite turns. They feel so great. They feel so great.
Yeah. I think 3 of a kind's got to have a worthy mention alongside this because it just goes horribly wrong for the opponent when they see this on the other end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's so good.
Cool. So let's move on from that then. Over to you again, Kel.
Yeah, so let me see. I'm going to skip this one. I'll talk about one that's been pretty relevant in the current Flesh and Blood, I guess, finance space. We're going to talk about This Round's on Me. And I put this card on the list way before all of the buyouts and spikes started happening because I love this card for Ultimate Pit Fight. This is one of my favorite cards for the format. Ultimate Pit Fight is one of my favorite formats in Flesh and Blood, if not my favorite format. And I put this card in almost every single one of my UPF decks because it's incredible. So This Round's on Me is a generic action. It blocks for 3. It's a blue pitch card and costs 1 to play. It has Go Again. And it says each hero draws a card. And then until the start of your next turn, attacks that target you have -1 attack. Now, like I said, this card's amazing for Ultimate Pit Fight. Everyone gets to draw a card, and then it also disincentivizes people from attacking you. So you can also play like the politics game, being like, hey, you could attack me, but if you do, all of your attacks are less efficient, and you're not, you're not attacking to the fullest of your capabilities. Maybe you should attack the other person over there. Maybe you should attack Jim over there. He's also playing Prism. So
Also, I'm the one that let you draw the card. So.
Yeah, too right.
And also, to be fair, it also just speeds up the game too. So everyone getting another card just makes things go a lot quicker, and UPF already can take like an hour to 2 hours. But yeah, it's also currently being bought out because people are speccing on it for probably the pro season. A lot of folks think it's like decent against Fi, which of course it is, especially if your Fi is attacking with at least 3 or 4 cards. It's good value. So currently it's spiking in price like $30, which is unfortunate for folks like me who just want it for Ultimate Pit Fight. It is from Everfest, and Everfest is still pretty cheap. There's a lot of cards we're talking about from Everfest here. Maybe you should go buy some Everfest.
Everfest is just a solid set, honestly.
Yeah. There's some good stuff in there.
Good set.
Yeah. I mean, like when it was first released, people were like, "Oh, what's this? Each hero draws a card. Attacks get -1. It's not that good, is it? Yeah, come on." But now, as you can see, this is ridiculous. You play this, you're basically Fi wants to attack maybe 4 or 5 times, if not more. But you're essentially blocking 5 of that. If he attacks 5 times, you're blocking 5 damage with 1 card. Plus, this blocks for 3 on its own, draws you a card, and pitches for 3. It's ridiculous.
I love this card.
I'm very, very glad. I just double checked my binder of all like my cards that I want easy access, like easy and ready access to. So it's like all the staples and whatever. I have 2 foil this rounds on me's already. So,
Oh, mate, nice.
which is the exact amount that I need for UPF and nothing more. So.
I also have them. Also, this card, this is not on my list, a little bit spoiler, but this card's amazing in Volda as well, because it just generates you a crap load of Seismic Surge tokens, because everyone's drawing cards, and you're like, ooh, make all these Seismic Surge tokens. So yeah, that's my pick. This round's on me. Awesome card. I wish it was not $30. I wish people can go buy it for like what it used to be. It was like $5. Not like a bulk card, but still.
Not too long ago either. Like, I mean, I think it's just literally just people just buying their 2 or 3 copies for their pro quests or whatever, aren't they?
I've heard
it was like past 2 weeks.
Maybe? I've heard rumors of a shadowy cabal who are like specking on cards who just buy them all up. This also
the Apocalypta cult.
Yeah. These also might be the same people who bought out Surgical Extraction to raise the price on that too. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
But yeah, good pick nonetheless.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think
it's your turn. Bill,
you're up, man.
Oh, it is my turn. Very good. Okay, so now I'm getting into like the theme thus far has been cards that were relevant to decks that I liked. That's like the things that got me excited when they were released for the relevant decks that I was enjoying at the time. Now we're getting into the portion of the Living Legends podcast where I wax poetic about my stupid Prism deck.
There he goes.
So to start it all off, this is like the reason that this deck even became a thing. It even started existing. But I have to start this with the card that started it, which is Transmogrify. So Transmogrify is an illusionist action from Uprising. It comes in all 3 colors. It's a rare. It costs 1 and blocks for 2 across all 3 colors. The red version here says the next attack action card you play this turn is Illusionist, has base attack 8, and gains Phantasm. And this has Go Again. So this card, it already did some work for me just in the pre-release that I did, because I was playing a Dromai deck. And I was able to, I started my turn with a red Transmogrify to give all of my dragons Go Again. I attacked with like, I think it was 3 or 4 Ashwings plus like 2 real dragons. So I think I attacked for like 12 or something, and then ended it with a Lava Burst for 11. Because it was the first attack action that I played, and it got the +3 from its effect or whatever, and was base attack 8. So like from the word go, I loved this card. And one of the things that like the downside of the card obviously is that it gives the card the illusionist type, and also it gives it Phantasm, which is relevant for a myriad of reasons. But the thing that I noticed was that Phantasm isn't always necessarily a bad thing. Illusionist is an incredibly good thing because of how Luminaris is worded. So if you have a yellow in your pitch zone and you turn Snatch into an Illusionist card, Snatch has Go Again and also base attack 8.
That's pretty good.
And then because it's Illusionist, it also gets it combos with another card that I'll let Kel talk about later, because I know it's on his list. But but yeah, so Transmogrify is like the reason that I put the deck together. It's a super innocuous card. I think that a lot of people think that it's like not great, which it isn't. It's not a great card, but it enables the strategy for this deck that I am absolutely obsessed with. So yeah, it has to be on my list of favorite cards from 2022.
Absolutely.
It's a sweet card, man. Like,
I love it.
It's one of those cards that, I think a lot of like pro grinders are like, it's not great. But when I see it, I'm like, this card's sweet. Like, it's like, it feels kind of like almost like if you're familiar with, what is it called? Like the Timmy, Johnny, Vorthos kind of thing. It feels kind of like a Timmy card, right? Because it's like, it's got that number 8 on it. It's like big G's. I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool card.
Yeah.
And I never noticed this as well.
You Vipox for 8.
Oh god, yeah.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. If you've ever done that, that's a high that you cannot reach ever again. It's like it should be a controlled substance.
Wow, yeah, only in short doses. But I've just noticed as well on the I couldn't find the actual splash art for this, but the actual art on the card is like this. It's not Prism. It's like a blue illusionist summoning like there's a cat, there's a dog, there's a pig, and then there's this big like claw thing. It looks like a lion or something in the front of the picture here. But yeah, they're conjuring like different animals as well. So it's a very interesting thing as to whether that's like the blue illusionist that we might see in the future, which goes along with the
for a blue illusionist if that's in the cards. Really
exactly. Yeah. So
I think it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
We all know you're very fond of that one. Brilliant. So my next one is it comes in a suite of colors, red, yellow, and blue, and this was released in Dynasty, and that's Drillshot.
Ooh, yes.
So this is fantastic. I've only been using the red ones recently, but I can see yellows and blues. Potentially blue being very good. But yeah, red is very good. I'll mention this one. So it's a 0 cost arrow across the board, blocks for 3. Obviously, red, yellow, and blue means it attacks for 4, 3, or 2, respectively. If it has an aim counter, it has piercing 1. So if it's defended by an equipment, it gets +1. So it gets a little bit of a buff if it does have an aim counter and equipment is defending it. But even in the Death Dealer or Dreadboard builds, it doesn't need to have an aim counter. It just says when it hits, if it hits a hero, you get a -1 counter on equipment they control, which is just a lot of the Rangers really hate these characters or heroes with fridges, is what they're called, when they have a big large armor suite. This just says that armor suite becomes whittled down over time, and when you get to the sort of late game, I'm speaking about CC here because that's where I've experienced it. When you get to the late game and their tunics don't block anymore, their one piece armors that have value don't block for anything anymore. Those tiny little bits of value that you've accumulated over the course of the game really do start to add up, and they would have wished they blocked it. And the fact it costs nothing to play means it can be buffed up to a 7 with like a red take aim or red release attention. So a 7 damage arrow for nothing, which then gets you incremental value at the end. I think it's just very good. So yeah, very, very fond of that one.
Yeah, I think it's great. I put it in my Lexi deck.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is 0 for 4.
Oh, you put it in there, have you?
Yeah. It's a 0 for 4 with a good on-hit effect. And not just that, I think it's like remarkably better than like Searing Shot. So Searing Shot, if it hits, the opponent loses 1 life. So basically deals 1 damage. This card is like basically virtual 1 damage, right? So it puts a -1 counter on their equipment, which is something that they would be blocking with later at some point anyway. So it's basically dealing 1 damage, but it's better than that because it also makes your dominate cards better, because the less equipment they have to block with for your dominate arrows, the better you are. So it virtually deals them 1 damage, but it also makes your dominate attacks better. So I think it's just like, I think it's really good, even without the aim counter on it. It's quite good.
Yeah, I don't think about it that way. I don't think about it at all, because obviously dominate is fantastic. Obviously, you can only block with cards from hand, but armor is a thing that then stops dominate most of the time, especially if you're only firing like a red in the ledger for 5 with dominate, where sometimes you are forced to. They just chuck in their Crater Fist and block for 3. If that Crater Fist only blocks for 1, now they're having to block with an additional piece of equipment, which then puts a battle worn counter on it for later on. It's just incremental value, which I didn't think Ranger had before, which I think is good.
Yeah,
it's sort of like a bleeding effect. You hit them, and then it has a repercussion later on that does something like an everlasting effect. I would love to see more of that.
Is like it does make a measurable effect on the board state, but it's not an immediate impact. It's not like a frostbite.
Exactly.
That just makes things more awkward down the line. You're kind of like setting up where you want to be, like what state you want your opponent to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
This is also, I think we mentioned this probably right when Dynasty came out too, but I think that this is the exact type of design space that aim counter cards should be in, where it's like, it's a solid card on its own. The aim counter is like actually like a buff. Like it is a thing that matters, but you can still play it without the aim counter, and it's still a solid card. Like it's still fine. Just the aim counter is like a little bit of extra seasoning on top.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just an extremely well designed card, and surprisingly impactful in a universe where arrows are already pretty saturated. Like there's already a ton of decent arrows to run. So yeah, something that looks kind of innocuous but does have like a really good impact.
Yeah, we were speaking about on the last podcast. We were speaking about how Endless Arrow has never lost its value.
Oh yeah,
but I love that card because there was a version before my recent version, which I built the other day. Endless Arrow was like one of my favorites because if it hits, it creates, it gives you that card back, which you can Arsenal, which then allows you to have 5 cards. I've taken out my Endless Arrows for this red Drillshot.
Really?
Yeah, I've taken it out for this.
I
so
can
not
see that in Azalea. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, because you're getting, as long as you're playing Death Dealer, you're getting that card selection, card advantage going deeper anyway. So you don't really need the Endless Arrow there. So yeah, it's just filled a much better spot.
Yeah, I can see that. I would never cut Endless Arrow in Lexi, but that's because I can just keep playing it. Because
exactly.
You just give it go again, play it, give it go and play it.
Yeah, that's definitely better in there because you can just more wombo-y combo, isn't it, Lexi? So
yeah, if you let my Endless Arrow hit, especially on a turn where we played Rain Razors, good luck.
Oh God.
It's coming back at you at least another time, maybe 2 more times if I want to use my
six.
No. You can seriously do stuff where you're like, so you're like, bolt and shot them, load the Endless Arrow, shoot the Endless Arrow off, crack your Snapdragon Scalers if it hits, comes back to your hand, load it with your Voltaire, give it go again with the Voltaire, shoot it again. If it hits, comes back to your hand, load it again with Voltaire. And this is like if it all has like +2 across the board, it's gross. You can do some gross.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
that's what when we interviewed the Polish top 8 Azalea player, he was running a combo-y Azalea deck, and that's exactly what he did to beat or to get that far, was to just do a wombo-y combo thing with Tri-Shot and energy potions and set it up. So he was doing the Rain Razors, Endless Arrow constantly, and then because obviously if you crack the Perch Grapplers or play rapid fire, it gives all of your arrows go again for the turn. So they all have go again infinitely as long as you can keep loading them. They just keep coming, which is what Tri-Shot's good for, because you then load it in and then draw a card of Death Dealer. You can just keep going all the time.
I would love there to be a card for Azalea, like an Azalea specialization or something that just like gives you reload for the turn. Like whenever you deal damage to the hero this turn, reload. But that would be an infinite combo with Endless Arrow.
It should be a combo deck, wouldn't it? Just be a combo assemble deck.
Well, it would be like as long as you could give it go again. So it would be like Perch Grapplers plus this card plus Endless Arrow is like, as long as you can evade enough, it's an infinite combo.
Yeah, that's essentially what the Pavel Leszek deck list was for the Polish Nats. But yeah, if there was a little bit of extra pieces, I reckon it could be pretty good.
I would still love to see it regardless. I think that Azalea
absolutely
has earned it, deserves it at this point.
Yeah, give us the wombo combo. Anyway, that was that Drillshot my cards. So it's back to Kel again.
Yeah, let me see. We have two more cards. Yeah. All right, so I will save one for the end. So let's talk about the card that Bill was alluding to just a moment ago. I'm gonna talk about Fractal Replication. I love this card for many reasons. The art is also fantastic. The silver-haired illusionist lady, I really want her to be a character, like a hero. It's one of the art for Spears of Surreality. She's in the art for that. That art is the art that made me reach out to Manuela Crovius to commission her to do stuff. Like I love the character.
Colors,
I love the art. It's just so good. So Fractal Replication is another card from Everfest. A lot of cards from Everfest here. This is a 0-drop star attack, star defense, illusionist attack action. It's a weird card, and that's why I love it. So it says, When you play or defend with Fractal Replication, it gains the abilities and effects of all Illusionist attack action cards on the combat chain. Fractal's Replication's power is equal to the greatest base power among all Illusionist attack action cards on the combat chain, and Fractal Replication's defense is equal to the greatest base defense, yada yada. Who cares about the defense? We care about the attack. So, I've never seen anyone actually block with Fractal Replication. Well, maybe I have, but...
I have been forced to in certain situations, but I'm pretty sure matchups where I was going to lose anyway, so it like didn't matter. But yeah.
This card is so spicy for so many reasons. Like one of the easiest base levels is like this basically becomes a second version of Herald of Erudition, right? It becomes like a Herald. It's a 5 attack, right? Or is it a 6?
Herald's a 5 attack. Yeah.
5 attack. Yeah. So it's a 5 attack with Dominate, and then when it hits, you get to draw 2 cards because it gains all the abilities and effects of the Illusionist attack actions. So it just becomes like a second Herald, which is like super spicy. Or in the case of that. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say the thing that is important that I have learned the hard way about this card, though, is that it counts as a retry for Herald of Erudition. It doesn't count as like you get to continue going off by drawing more cards, because if you hit with Herald of Erudition, it leaves the combat chain and it is no longer visible to the Fractal Replication.
Yes, but so it does have to be on the combat chain. So for something,
if it gets fully blocked out, then
So if it goes to the soul, so that's important to know. If any of the cards go to the soul at all, then they're not on the combat chain anymore. But what's the real spice of this? That was like the base level. What the real spice is what Bill is doing, and that is turning your other cards into Illusionist cards and getting the effects of those cards. So like for example, you could turn, like Bill said, turn your Snatch into an 8 attack Snatch, and then play Fractal Replication afterwards, which also now has 8 attack because it cares about the base attack, which Transmogrify turns it into the base attack, and then it gains the draw card on hit effect. So quite spicy. Like this is it can be sweet. Like this is, you've seen Guardian attack for like, it's a 15 damage turn or whatever, but just like 8 attack or 8 base Transmogrify into Fractal Replication is 16. That's so good. That's so sweet.
It happens more frequently than you would think with how inconsistent the deck sounds, but I have done double Fractal Replication turns before. Like I have presented 28 damage before. Like at least I think once a tournament. It happens.
Yeah.
What we live for.
Yeah.
It's gross and it's awesome. This card's cool. This card, for those who know a little bit about the spoilers that I've done before, I got to preview a card called Mutated Mass in Monarch, and this is what I wish Mutated Mass was. Mutated Mass kind of functions similarly to this. It's got like the star effect and yada yada yada, but Fractal Replication is just like the much more clean and more powerful version of Mutated Mass. So, yeah, I really love this card. It's good.
Mutated Mass. Wow.
Yeah, that's the card they gave me because they didn't know there was no Ranger in the set. So before that they gave me Redliner in Crucible of War. Oh no, so I'm sorry. The first spoil card for me ever was Arcane Rising, and so that was Knock the Death Whistle. Then they gave me Redliner. And then they gave me Mutated Mass because there was no Ranger. And then they proceeded to give me Ranger cards up until Uprising.
Assassin.
Well, no, Uprising didn't have Ranger either, so they gave me Burn Them All.
Uprising, of course.
And then Assassin. So now they're probably just going to give me Assassin cards, which I'm very happy with. Please just give me more Assassin cards. LSS, if you're listening, Assassin cards. Give me the Legendary. No, I don't have to give me
I know one of them is.
Legendary. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Fractal Replication. It's a cool card.
Fantastic idea. Fantastic pick.
Yeah.
Bill's seal of approval.
Speaking of Bill, I think you're up next, Bill.
Absolutely.
Is it mine? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is a card that also works with that. It actually ties into the footnote that I added when you were talking about fractal replication, Kel. So in my deck, I was playing a card from Monarch called Illuminate, just because it blocked for 3, cost 0. I could play the yellow and the blue version of it, and it was just a regular attack that could be buffed by my buff spells. And it was already illusionist. Like, it just was like a functional card. It was one of the worst cards in the deck because of what I was mentioning, how it has the same text that all the heralds do, where if it hits, it goes into your soul and it makes turns really awkward. There's a card that went under the radar for so many people in Dynasty that like was actually a very measurable increase in just average power level for my deck, and that card is Spectral Prowler. It is a common from Dynasty. It's an illusionist attack action. It comes in rainbow, but the one I'm going to be talking about today is the blue one, because the blue and the yellow are what I actually play in my deck. Costs 0, attacks for the blue one, attacks for 2, and it blocks for 3. It has Phantasm, and it just says, when you play Spectral Prowler, if you control a Spectral Shield, this gains Go again. That doesn't sound like a great card. It just sounds like a worse Scar for a Scar or anything like that, where it's just a 0 for X with Go again. The text on this card is not relevant. In fact, because it has less text than Illuminate, it is better. Because it takes all the buffs really, really well. And it, if it does get blocked or if it does hit, it stays on the combat chain, so it can still get buffed by Fractal Replication, or it can still buff Fractal Replication. So just a card that I was way more excited about than I anticipated. It was like the perfect swap out for what was, in my opinion, the worst card in my deck at the time. And yeah, the fact that it just seems so unassuming but works in this very specific situation makes it one of my favorites. And it also helps that it ties in with what we were already talking about. So
yeah, it's nice. It's like it's literally just a strictly better for your deck, isn't it?
Yeah.
Strictly better than Illuminate.
It is technically worse because it has Phantasm built in, but in the situations where I'm attacking with Illuminate, it had Phantasm anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
It's functionally just 100% better.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Fantastic. Cool. And again, it's that same sort of flavor as well. It's like a big cat, like an animal being summoned in this blue haze. So hinting at future character potentially. Cool. My next one is another one from Dynasty. And this is called Dead Eye. So this is a ranger action. Costs 1 to play, blocks for 3, and it's a yellow pitch. And it just says your next arrow gets +3. If it has an aim counter on it, it gains when it's hit. Look at their hand, choose a card, they discard it. It's a shame that has to have an aim counter on it, but this is still played in my new iteration, because the value that you get is pretty ridiculous. So it pitches for yellow first of all. So that's obviously a knock your bow, fire it situation. It blocks for 3, and it's a yellow, which is better than a yellow take aim, because yellow take aim only blocks for 2. And it gives your next arrow attack +3. So if you look at that card, it's got value 8 on it. So it pitches for 2, blocks for 3, and gives your next arrow +3. So that magical 8 number is very efficient, and especially if you're pitching to Death Dealer, you're putting something in there. You've got 1 left over most of the time. You can then play a Dead Eye as well, which is giving your next arrow attack +3, and then you can just fire it off. It's just I absolutely love it. But yeah, the numbers are what make that one quite efficient, because it's 2 pitch, 3 block, and 3 +3 damage. So yeah, it's just quite efficient overall. And she doesn't really have many yellow block 3s, so it's nice to have yellow block 3s in there, which actually have a function with the +3. But if you are running an aim counter build, which I'm sure we will see more of, there isn't enough at the moment really to make it viable. With Azalea at least. But when we do get more aim counter stuff, I think this would be even better, because look at their hand and discard a card. That's another +3 value on the card then, which then brings it up to an 11 value card basically. If you look at a card as a 3, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But how do you like it?
The fact that it's just there's nothing that that is like a criteria for what you can discard also makes that really crazy, because there are some cards that act as hand disruption. Like the one that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head, I think is Brain Freeze, where you get to look at a card and then put a card back on top of your opponent's deck. But it's gated behind Fuse, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah.
So for this one, it is just straight up, if this hits, and well, it's gated behind an aim counter, but in the decks that are able to use aim counters, I assume this is going to be an easier thing to fulfill than not.
Yeah.
But yeah, just straight up hand disruption is crazy in this
It
game.
reminds me of Surgical Extraction. So when is this card going to be $30, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, whenever Azalea gets good. So sometime 2023.
Yeah,
Spec now, boys.
Couple months.
Yeah.
I actually think this is it's a pretty spicy card for Azalea in particular, because you can give the card Dominate, so you can give whatever arrow Dominate. So Dominate plus the effect of looking at your opponent's hand, taking a card is like disgusting. I think Az is right that you need more aim counter cards to justify making an aim counter deck. But I think once the aim counter deck is there, it feels gross. It's gonna be gross. It's like worse. It's like worse than a pummel, because pummel, at least you get to choose. Like the player gets to choose what to discard. This card, no, you get to pick their best card and just rip it out of their hand.
Just get rid of it. Yeah.
Like if they have say they have 2 blue pitch cards and the red pitch card that they want to play, you just take the red pitch card and their hand sucks. They can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of blue crap. So.
Like most of the time, the cards that are left in their hand are going to be the ones that they wanted to play anyway. So they've used their defense reactions and whatever, and they're like, okay, cool, I'll have this. And then you set up a Deadeye arrow, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
never mind.
I could just imagine turns where I'm just gonna pull some random crap out of my head, but it's like you look at their hand, and it's like a E-Strike, an Art of War, and Razor Reflex or something like that, and you're like, I'll take your E-Strike. You just can't do anything now.
You just can't do anything. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can imagine this would be good in the Azalea mirror match as well. Like you're discarding their only arrow, and they're just like, oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Tough.
Yeah. But yeah, any yellow card in Azalea that I found is pretty good. Because obviously, if you running Death Dealer, at least you use a yellow to pitch the Death Dealer, load the arrow in, draw a card. The card that you're drawing in this iteration that I'm playing at the moment might even be another 0 cost buff 3. So you're basically using Deadeye to find another buff potentially, and then use the one left over that you've used for the Death Dealer to fire that arrow. So yeah, any yellow can turn into card filtering in Death Dealer Azalea as well, which is nice. And the fact that it blocks for 3, again, is just one of those things that we don't really get much of in Ranger decks at the moment. A lot of the non-attacks are 2 block, which is horrible most of the time.
Yeah. Finally getting the same treatment that Assassin got right out the gate.
Yeah. And looks like Assassin's going to continue to have with
absolutely
with that new card. Also has 3 block. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my 4th one. So back over to you, Kel.
All right. So this is my last one, I think. And speaking of Assassin, this is my favorite card of the year, and might be my favorite Flesh and Blood card, and might even just be one of my favorite cards just in general from card games. It says Black Tech Whispers, the legendary Assassin leg equipment. It blocks for 1. It has Battle Worn, and it says when Black Tech Whispers, it says while Black Tech Whispers is in your graveyard, at the start of your turn, you may destroy 2 silvers you control. If you do, equip it, and then it has an attack reaction on it. To destroy the Black Tech Whispers, target Assassin attack action card gains. When this hits a hero, it gains Go Again. I love everything about this card. This, you can tie it in with Mask of Perdition, but I like Black Tech Whispers more than Mask of Perdition because the Go Again feels very integral to the Assassin deck. So it's like a piece of equipment that you can keep blocking with over and over again, similar to how you can do that with something like the Dynamo, the Valiant Dynamo, the warrior one that you can just keep blocking with. Yeah. Similar in that kind of way, but this one also can be played fairly aggressively, destroying it to give your attacks Go Again. I love this card. I love recursion effects. I love cards that are their own little engines. Like this card is its own little engine, which I think is awesome because it blocks but also keeps recurring, but it gives you value as you do it. I love this kind of effect. So Black Tech Whisperers, favorite card of the year, 100% for me. Also, I've been just really lucky, and I've opened up 5 of them. I've opened up 5. No. 6. I've opened up 6.
Yeah.
So I opened up 5 for myself. No. Was it 7? So I opened up 5 for myself, and then I did a stream where I opened up some boxes for like supporters, and then I opened up another Black Tech Whisperers in one of those cases. So I have opened up at least one Black Tech Whisperer in 5 out of 6 of the cases. No, 6 out of 7 of the cases that I opened up.
Brilliant.
All rainbow foil.
I
Never opened up a cold foil. So what I did is I sold 2 of my rainbow foils and then bought a cold foil, and I still have 3 rainbow foil and a cold foil. So I have 4. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite comments that came out of that season where you were just like you could only open Black Tech Whisperers was somebody commented on, maybe it was the box opening stream. I was like, at this point, Kel has enough Black Tech Whisperers to literally physically destroy them whenever he activates them.
Yeah.
Just replace it with a new one each time.
Yeah. Oh man.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but love the card. The art is also really, really cool. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that. It's awesome. Favorite card. Yeah.
Nice.
Totally agree. The fact that it is like just a support card for the deck that never truly goes away is like
so cool.
Just really cool. It's not something that we've seen up to this point. Like we haven't seen recursive equipment, and it does require you to like play around that. Like you have to obviously be creating the silver, and then giving things go again. But those are things that the deck is set up to do anyway. So yeah, I think it just ties in super well.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, then I think I'm up next for my last card, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah.
This is another one that it was a card that I looked at initially, and like when it was first revealed, and I was like, oh, this card's like really cool. This card's good. And then every time I looked back at it, it got more insane. Like I kept realizing these interactions or just parts of the card that just made it like absolutely ridiculous. And this is another card again for my Prism deck. And I love it for a very specific reason, which again is the theme for this, but this is Phantasmal Symbiosis.
Oh yeah.
This is a card that once I like truly got to digest it and understand what it like, how it functioned within my little universe, I'm glad that I didn't get this as my spoiler card. It would have been a sick spoiler card. I would have been so excited for it, but I don't know that I would have been able to keep it like private. I think I would have had to tell people about it because it's that cool and that insane. So with that being said, Phantasmal Symbiosis is another illusionist attack. This is from Dynasty. It is a majestic and it only comes in yellow. It costs 1, attacks for 6, blocks for 3, has Phantasm, and then when this attacks, name a card. Cards with that name are illusionist until end of turn. So the intended use case for this card, from what I can tell, the intended use case is to name a card that's in your opponent's hand, say like Command and Conquer, if you know that they have it, so that because of the way that Phantasm works, Phantasm only triggers if the attack with Phantasm is blocked by a non-illusionist attack with 6 or more attack. So you can turn off their ability to pop your Phantasm attacks, I think is what this was designed for. But the case that makes it useful in my deck is that, to be fair, I have done that before. But if I name a card, like if I have 2, I keep using this as an example, so I'll keep doing it, Snatch. If I have 2 Snatches in my hand, I play Phantasmal Symbiosis, and I name Snatch. My Snatches are illusionist attacks until end of turn, so that means they'll still get go again, even if I can't buff them, if I don't have buff cards for each one. And that can lead to some pretty crazy stuff. Theoretically, this is totally magical Christmas land. But if I went Phantasmal Symbiosis into 2 Snatches into 2 Fractal Replications, that draws me 8 cards.
Oh my goodness me.
Like it's again, totally magical Christmas land, but so cool that like, and then also because it replaced, I was playing blue Wartune Heralds just because there weren't enough good attacks that were available. This replaced the blue Wartune Heralds and also added 2 additional yellow pitches in my deck. to just make that more consistent. It's still just a good attack on its own. I was like floored when I saw this card released. Like it is like James White saw my deck and was like, okay, I need to make it a card for Bill from the Spike Feeders.
So do you start your turn with this then? Do you normally you pitch a yellow to play this and then you just go off?
Yeah, that's but the thing that I was really wanting for the deck was cards that can take a buff well and also be useful like as an enabler. And this is just a 1 for 6. So at its core, it's just a fine enough attack. It also has that sort of corner case thing where I can give things additional go again, or I can buff it with something because I also play Phantasmify. So just giving this +5 makes it an attack for 11. So it puts in a lot of work on multiple different angles.
Yeah, it's like also just a yellow card too to give your things
also
go again.
just a yellow card.
Yeah,
we love the yellows.
Yeah, it just does so much. It's like perfect in basically every single way. I love this card so much. So yeah, that's my number one for sure.
Wow, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
sweet. So, by the looks of it, you guys have done your last ones as your top ones. So mine is now proper underwhelming because it's not a Ranger card.
Oh no!
It just the hell.
Mine, I did kind of sort my list so that it was like that, but again, like I'm just as excited for Transmogrify because if I didn't have the Transmogrify deck, Phantasmal Symbiosis would be super mid.
True. Yeah. Sweet. So this sort of touches on the so this is my last card. So this sort of touches on the same space as the first duo of Dreadboard Release Attention. Sort of touches on that same rule setting experience that I like. So this is Invoke Temai or Themai, whatever you want to call the Dragon of Solana, basically from Uprising. So this costs 2 to play for the Invoke side. So it says transform target Ash you control into this dragon, Temai, and go again. Blocks for 3, and then Temai itself has 4 life and it attacks for 3. But the text on this is what I absolutely love. It just says opponents can't play cards or activate abilities during your turn. So you can't be Oasis Respited during your turn because they can't play the card. They can't play any D-reacts because they can't play cards during your turn. So they can only basically block with their physical value of the card that they're blocking with, essentially. Also means that wizards can't do stuff during your turn, so they can't do their Storm Striders wombo combo on your turn and kill you. So yeah, I don't play Dromai at all, but I just love the I love the effect on this, and I can see it being quite relevant. I don't know if it is, but I do think it's a great effect that I would love to have in Azalea decks just for that extra evasion on there, because we all know how. I'm sure we'll do another list at some point as to how annoying Oasis Respite is because it can target any form of damage. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether it's been dominated or attack reacted or not. You can just prevent damage, and they gain a bloody life as well most of the time.
Yeah. Thamai kind of reminds me of one of my favorite cards, like in Flesh and Blood, and that is Exude Confidence. So Exude Confidence has a similar line of text, but not quite. So here, let me. I'm gonna Google it real quick because I don't have a copy on hand. So Exude Confidence says, while it isn't defended by a card with equal or greater attack, the defending hero can't play or activate instance or defense reactions this combat chain, and I absolutely love that. I love it against wizards as well. It basically forces them to play when you play Exude Confidence. Like they have to play they have to do their stuff in response to it. Which is actually great. So you can play Exude Confidence and still keep a bunch of blues in your hand instead of waiting, the wizard waiting for you to be out of resources to try to burn you out. Yeah, Exude Confidence is sweet, and Thamai is similar. So
yeah, similar sort of thing, isn't it? Exactly. So Yeah, just thought it sort of ties in with the first cards I mentioned as well, just sort of rule setting. Maybe we'll see more of that in the future, which is why I like things like Reaping Blade and stuff as well, which just has a static effect, on there, which says you can't gain life or whatever it is. I can't remember what it is now, but those sorts of cards.
I think it's like players with more life than anyone else can't gain life or something like that. That's basically.
I think
what
it is that.
Yeah.
But
sweet card.
that is my final card.
Nice.
I like that a lot too, because it also proves that from a card design standpoint, they are willing to create these like in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're referred to as floodgates or like stacks pieces in Magic.
Stacks,
that just kind of fundamentally change how the game is currently being played. It proves that they're willing to do something this like static, just straight up your opponent can't play cards in your turn effect. It is gated obviously behind, can only play it in Dromai, need an Ash, and it can be killed, but still, like it is still on a card, which means that likely we'll see other versions of that sort of control effect in the future. Which I would not hate to see. I would like to see those.
No, exactly. Yeah. I think from a player perspective, we probably could do a whole episode on this as to what kind of player you are. But I think control, it sort of goes into my wheelhouse to a certain degree, because I like to interact with what the opponent's doing and all that sort of thing, and allowing me to play my game plan and stuff, but also being proactive in a way where you can still play around certain things. But I think that could be a good episode in the future. I use aggro, just punch face.
I mean, there is a reason why my channel is called Red Zone Rogue. I like to get into the red zone. Aggro. I do like mid-range and control strategies too. I like card games in general, so I like a lot of the different flavors. But
exactly,
I typically favor aggro. Depends, but yeah.
While we're on the train, Bill, what kind of player are you? What do you reckon?
I think I prefer like kind of like closer to combo-y. I guess that would be Johnny in the psychographics. But not full on combo. It's because I like cool interactions between cards. I think that's like 100% the type of Flesh and Blood player that I am. I love like the thing that I love the most about my illusionist deck, because it's sweet, but also when I play something and it's like, I'll play a fractal replication and I'll explain that it gets all these things, and somebody would be like, wait, is that really how it works? I'm like, yeah, because it's the base power of this, Transmogrify modifies the base power, and then they just get that like stank face, like when you're listening to like really good metal and there's a breakdown and you're like, ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I love making people like realize that cool interactions exist within this game, instead of just being like, oh, this is a buff for 3 and now I'm attacking you for 7. Because
definitely.
Sometimes you're just not around that kind of thing. It's just like, oh, this is an efficient card and I will play it, which is a totally reasonable way to play this game competitively, but I don't personally see myself as a super competitive player. I like having fun.
For sure.
And so
just more about like flavorful synergies with you then.
Yeah, which I think puts me into the Johnny camp. If I remember correctly.
So like for me, so my favorite deck of all time that I played was a deck that I played for many years back. I think it was Type 1 Magic, back when Type 1 and Type 2 were things. For those of you who are as old as I am and know those things, it was a deck called The Rock, and it's a black-green deck. And at this period of time, this is around Apocalypse. This is The Rock with 4 Spirit Mongers, 4 Pernicious Deeds. You run Spike Feeders and Spike Weavers to get value, and then I run Recurring Nightmare, which is my favorite card of all time, to recur all of these things and to get a bunch of value. You also have Vampiric Tutors. You have a bunch of other stuff, but like it's like the mid-range deck. It is like as mid-range as you could get, because it's like you have your elves that you know, your elves and your birds that you use to play like your Spirit Mongers, and then you have like your Pernicious Deeds to control the board and all of this stuff. That's my favorite. But Flesh and Blood doesn't really have that. I guess that's one of the reasons why I like Assassin so much, is Assassin kind of feels a little bit like that, especially with their equipment. And so for Flesh and Blood, if I can't do that, then I'd want to, aggro tempo you out. The kind of aggro decks that I like in other games, like for example, another game, a Shadowverse. I got to almost Grandmaster rank on Shadowverse playing Swordcraft, which is like kind of an aggro style deck. It's just like face, but it's not all face. So like I don't top out on like the 3-drop. I top out like on the 7-drops. So I still like get to like a mid-rangey style thing where like I have a decent late game. That's like my favorite kind of play a lot of like, I don't know, unit board interaction. But like I said, Flesh and Blood doesn't really have that. So I tend to focus.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it? It doesn't have like a. Well, I guess you could build up to a crippling crush, which is like what was it, a 7 cost or something? But it's not really.
Yeah, that feels.
Yeah, it's not the same, is it?
It feels more controlled to me, but even though I guess it's not.
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood's weird in that kind of way.
Yeah.
I really like Ranger, obviously, and I love the cool combo-ish turns with Ranger with like 3 of a kinds and Art of Wars and Rain Razors, where you have all these like effects. And you have like a big turn, like it's just a really really big turn. I like that more than just like attack for 4, go again, attack for 4, go again, attack for 4, go again with 3 rune chance, pass, or and then attack. I'm dunking on Briar, I guess, and attack with my Rosetta Thorn. Pass.
Just numbers, just raw numbers, like
I want to be like, all right, here we go. Rain Razors.
Go.
3 of a kind from hand, 3 of a kind from arsenal. Let's go. Like,
let's go. Yeah. Why was 3 of a kind not on this goddamn list?
Because
it wasn't released this year.
Yeah, it was released in 2019.
2020. 2019. Okay. Welcome to Wraith came out at the end of 2019. Beginning of 2020 was Arcane Rising.
Yeah, but 3 of a kind is one of the cards. I think we were talking about this last week.
Love it so much.
But it is one of the cards from Arcane Rising that isn't just like a slam dunk staple in a bunch of decks. That is still like, it keeps its value. It is just like, people understand that this card is like $20.
Dude, it's a 1 cost that draws you 3 cards. Like, come on, it's like so nuts. You can only play cards from Arsenal. Yeah. We'll find a way around that.
It just turns out that it has a downside, and the class that it's in isn't historically very popular, but it draws 3 cards. It says draw 3 cards. That's crazy.
There's gonna be a day. It doesn't work yet. I've tried it, but there's gonna be a day that you have a bunch of 3 of a kinds, and then you have stuff like Tri-Shot, where you're able to just keep pumping your thing, and just like, so you start the turn with like Rain Razors, Tri-Shot, like 3 of a kind from hand, 3 of a kind from arsenal combo turn, and then you're just like Tri-Shot, just playing a bunch of cards, drawing cards, like, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it was 3 of a kind as well. Was used in Paval's list. He actually used it defensively as well. He played 2 on the same turn. Obviously, he had 1 in his arsenal and 1 in his hand.
A bunch of stuff to block with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he played the first one from hand, and then obviously you can't play any cards. Then and then you play cards from your arsenal, of course. But he had 1 in his arsenal as well. So he played another one. He drew like 6 cards off of 1 pitch. I think 1 yellow, so you could draw 6 cards, and then he didn't care what the Oldhim was going to throw at him, because he could block with 3 cards and still have a 4-5 card hand, or whatever it was. So yeah, it could be used defensively as well, really, because cards are life in this game.
This is how you can tell. Like, my mindset is all about punching my opponent in the face. I would probably never play it defensively. I'm like, no, I want to smack them. I want to kill them. Like,
I want to convert each one of these cards into damage in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. It's why, like, I've very much, like, people are doing like the fatigue Arachne deck, and I'm like, no, I refuse.
No,
I refuse.
I just want to slice you.
I want to catch you, stab you.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
It's not. It's not in flavor for an assassin to be like.
No, it's not.
Like the fatigue kind of thing.
Although Brian did bring up a great point when he was on the podcast, that it's about stalking your opponent and all that sort of thing. So is that more of a defensive trait, or is that an offensive trait, stalking and preying on your opponent?
I would argue it's pretty defensive, because you're making sure that they can't like see you or interact with you while you're still like it's not fully defensive. It's like a defensive form of aggression, because instead of being all the way up in their face, you're being calculated. You're like making sure that you're whittling away at them to remove their options to hit you.
Yeah.
It is a very calculated aggression, is what I would say.
True.
Because
Yeah,
if you play like stealth games where you assassinate someone, you're not ever defensive when you're doing it. You're doing it just so you can get a clean kill and then get out there before anyone can get you.
It's instead of it just being a 50-50 or just like a black and white, it's a spectrum. It's like a political spectrum of aggressive defensive and then aggressive defensive again.
Yeah, it's like it's like as aggressive as you can get with like trying not to get hit. Like it's like it's so defensive that it's like doesn't ever want to even have to defend against anything. Yeah. It's like if it works, then you shouldn't have to defend because you've already gotten away with it.
Brilliant!
But
did you ever play Tenchu? Tenchu,
Mark of the Ninja or whatever, or is it Tenchu?
Yeah, Wrath of Heaven, and Mark of the Ninja was on PS2.
Oh no, I played Tenchu Z. Tenchu Z on Xbox 360 because it was made by FromSoft, the same people who make Dark Souls and all that stuff. Tenchu Z on 360. It's kind of jank, but still good.
It is, yeah.
It's not like Sekiro where like the controls are smooth and the combat is great. It's kind of like when you like hook shot to like the roof. It's like this awkward like stiff animation when you're like,
oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. That's one of those games where you're obviously a assassin sort of ninja person, and you can like do these stealth attacks on people and like stealth kills and stuff, like drop off the roofs and kill people and stuff. But then and then the characters come up across the screen, don't they? But yeah, that's another game where I was just like, you could just go in full on assault mode and just try and kill everyone in their face without doing the stealth. But yeah,
my favorite was to wait behind the doors and you see their shadow, and then you push the button, you stab them through the door.
That's it. Yeah,
that's a good.
What a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, just got me thinking because we're speaking about Assassin. But that was our top 5 cards of 2022 for this year. Probably something we'll revisit in various iterations. In future episodes and stuff. But it was good fun. I think we should mention a few honorable mentions as well, like preview cards, because we all got preview cards, and for some of us it was our first ones. So I think they're definitely worthy of this list as well. So we'll just do it in reverse. So my preview card was Sandscour Greatbow. So this was part of the sort of premature preview season, like the Emperor's throne room sort of situation, before the Emperor was known to be dead.
Part of the bait and switch.
Absolute bait and switch. Yeah, it was giving everyone their weapons and stuff, and suddenly he's dead. James said to us that obviously this is going to be very pivotal as part of Azalea's development. So I imagine the aim counters will be expanded upon in the next set. But the once per turn action on it is quite nice, and it can get you out of some tricky situations when you have no cards, no arrows to fire or anything like that. So it is quite a nice load opt pseudo effect as well. I haven't played with it too much, but there is a stream on Kels' channel. I think I played it in UPF once, and it was quite good.
Yeah.
Bill, you had your first one as well, didn't you, this year?
Yes. Yeah. So we got our first one. It was from Everfest. And it's a card that I really, really liked. And it made me want to play the deck. But then I played the deck and realized that I don't like this deck at all. The card was Ready to Roll, for anybody who remembers that. We had a ton of fun making our first ever preview card video. It was our first preview card for any game up to that point. We had been making content since like 2017. And had never gotten a preview card, so we were just so pumped. We put like so much love into it, and it feels like the community felt it and really appreciated it, and it just felt so great to have there was somebody on the main the big Flesh and Blood TCG community Discord that just kept bringing it up, being like, it's been 3 days and I can't stop thinking about this preview card video. It was so cool. Yeah, so it was just a really nice first foray into doing preview card stuff, and it's something that like we appreciated and still appreciate so much. Just sort of marked a really nice sort of checkpoint, a nice entry into a new chapter for our content creation stuff. So yeah, it was just awesome.
Oh yeah, when you get recognition from the company that makes the game that you respect and love and all that sort of thing, and they give you the chance to spoil these things for the first time, it's just like, wow, okay, they trust us, they trust our judgment or our character or whatever it is they like about us, you know. So yeah, it's a very humbling feeling. They trust us to do that. But yeah, just thought I'd mention those as well. Have you got another one as well? I know you got preview cards for everything, Kel, but is there anything you want to mention on at the end here for these cards?
I don't know. I mean, I really like all three of my preview cards. I love how they know who I am and not just like, oh, he's Red Zone Rogue, he makes videos, but they know like who I am as like a person, and they tailor the cards accordingly. So like, they know I like Ranger, and they gave me Dreadboard, but it's also just like a really metal card, both like physically and also just like, thematically. It is literally a bow with like metal rusty pieces in it. Like it looks like you could punch someone with the bow and like give them tetanus or something. I
wonder if that will ever be someone's signature weapon, Dreadboard.
I don't know,
because it looks like a bow that's made in the dregs of the pit. Let's be honest. What if the new Ranger's weapon is going to be this signature weapon?
I don't know.
If it's not Azalea anyway. But anyway, sorry, I'm butted in there.
No, it's all good. And then Burn Them All was my Uprising spoiler. It's actually a reference to Game of Thrones. James even told me it's a reference to Game of Thrones.
Nice.
So, and it's also just an incredibly metal card. And it's the card that I noticed when I did the preview for it that several of the Flesh and Blood artists like watch and comment on my stuff, because the artist for that is Reardon Delmiro, and he was like chatting in the preview chat like when I premiered it, and then since then he's commented on a bunch of stuff. He'll pop in on live streams, and same with Henri Glidner will pop into like live streams and chat, which I think is just incredible. And then my Dynasty card obviously is an assassin card, and I was like over the moon, like incredibly stoked. They gave me an assassin card. They gave me like a really good assassin card. So those all the preview cards mean a lot to me. I never take it for granted at all. I know a lot of folks would say stuff like, "Oh, of course you're going to get one. You're, this big or whatever." But I never take it for granted. I never assume that I get one. In fact, every single spoiler season, I'm like, oh, what if they're gonna give me a card? I hope they do, but if they don't, I understand. And like, I'll be in some like chats with some other content creators and be like, oh, have you gotten your card yet? Like, and I'm always like, if they don't, that's fine. I'll be, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be like kind of bummed because it's always awesome, but I'm not gonna be angry or anything. I understand how it is. So I never take any of them for granted, and I'm always very honored, and I always put in a lot of effort into the videos. For those who don't know how I do things, I basically do everything myself. So everything is done myself. Sometimes I rope my partner Robin into doing a voice for me. But other than that, it's literally all me. So it takes a while to do those things.
Good fun though, aren't they?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. It's like a trust thing as well. It's like they trust you to do it. They've obviously seen the work that the creators make, and they're like, oh yeah, they'll be able to do this. And as Chris Bewley said as well on one of the other podcasts that we did, they don't measure it. If there's any creators out there listening to this far, they don't measure it based on numbers or anything. They measure it based on your passion and what your channel or what your sort of ethos is and how it fits in with the spoiler season, as we've seen this time round with the Dynasty stuff. So yeah, keep the faith and keep doing stuff and keep creating content, and you might have a chance of getting one.
I think it's a lot about creating a fun experience for the community, because that's what spoiler season's supposed to be. It's supposed to be really exciting, showing off all the new cards, creating like this fun experience for everyone, hyping people up about like the new set and cards. So Yeah, and for me, for the spoiler videos, I do have to give a big shout out to both DM Armada and Dead Summer Art, because they are my early rivals is not the right word, but I saw their preview videos and they were so good, and I'm like, I need to step my game up. Like, I need to do better. And so ever since then, I try to be better every single time to compete with them. And then now we have like the Spike Feeders who have like really good ones. And so it's like,
Exactly.
I just gotta step up. Azz was also great.
That's what I mean. That's a good thing about content creators as well. They encourage you to do better to the best of your ability. Of course, you can't do avatar graphics or whatever, but within the best of your ability, all the content creators push everybody else to do better. So it's it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah. So yeah. With that said, I'm very, very, very excited for Outsiders. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it, but there's like probably a good chance they give me an assassin card for Outsiders. I mean,
oh yeah,
like James knows I like assassin. He's retweeted some of my like excitement for assassin. So like, yeah, and like
he's seen it.
not saying Az is gonna get like an Azalea card, but come on, man, he's gotta get something like that's relevant to Azalea at least. Like,
we'll see.
So
we'll see.
Oh, I'm so excited for Outsiders. It's a couple months away, but it'll be here soon.
I can't believe it. Yeah, exactly. I can't believe it's a couple months away already. It's just ridiculous, really. But it's gonna be fun.
It's a couple months away. LSS comes back from break soon, and we'll probably start getting more and more like information about it. It reminds me, I need to email James and be like, James, come on the podcast. Give us exclusive tidbits about Outsiders.
Exactly. We got assassin and ranger lovers all in the chat here. Come on now, give us something. Is Azalea going to be here or not?
Yeah. Bill,
in what form?
Bill, what's your favorite class? Is your favorite class Illusionist?
That's a really good question. I love Ranger as a class, but not necessarily right now as a class to play. Mm-hmm. I like Ranger as a design a lot, like beyond everything. But right now, I think my favorite class just to play is probably Illusionist. Okay. It's either Illusionist or Ninja.
Okay. Probably not a ninja in this set, but I don't know. Maybe we get the blue Illusionist in the pits. I don't know.
All I want is just cool cards. They don't need to be cards for decks that I like, because like I said with Phantasmal Symbiosis, if the card is too relevant to my interests, it is like an actual genuine concern for me to keep it quiet.
Oh, see, for me, I could keep it under wraps. Most of it is just me like, be like, yo, this looks so cool. And I like Robin comes home and I'm like, look at this cool card. She's like, oh, that's nice. I'm like, it's so cool. And she's like, okay.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. And then I just get hyped, and then I immediately start working on my video. Like finding copyright-free music is like finding copyright-free music is like one of the biggest challenges for that. So, but
yeah.
Yeah,
well, that was a good little chat about the cards that that made the most impact on us this year. And again, I'm sure we'll do it again in different aspects.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything we want to revisit, or not revisit, but visit in the Arsenal step at all this week?
I mean, the episode's been pretty long.
Yeah.
I have a quick thing. It's not very deep or anything, but it's just because since Robin has been kind of out of commission for like the last week, and I've been helping her, we've been doing a lot of like watching movies, just like stuff on like you can do being immobile on the couch. And I've been playing a lot of like not exactly point and click adventure games, but kind of point and click adventure games, like the modern versions of those, and really been enjoying them. Typically I play card games, obviously, but I play a lot of like action games as well. But just sitting back and playing like these more, I don't know if to say cerebral games, but these are like puzzles and stuff, has been really enjoyable. So recently I just finished The Quarry, which is more, horror which is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
The Quarry was really good.
Is that made by the same people who made Until Dawn?
Yes. Yes, it is very
yeah.
much along the same veins of Until Dawn. Very, very high quality. Very, very good with like tons of endings. Your characters can die pretty easily.
That's something that you can play. That's something that you can play with, like, you know, a partner as well, isn't it? You know, they don't have to be with. They don't have to hold. Because my girlfriend just won't hold a fucking controller at all because she just can't. She just can't use it.
Yeah. So like, yeah, it's something you can play. It's also like horror movie tropes. So it's like people who aren't into video games can be into it, and you can just sit and like when when an option appears, like, you know, jump through the window or try to climb the beam or whatever, she can be like, jump through the window or whatever.
Yeah, what should we do? What should we do? Yeah.
So I've been playing that. I played through that. I'm playing 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, which is a game by Vanillaware. So if you're familiar with Vanillaware, they have a very distinct anime art style. It's insane. The game is insane. This is not spoiling it because this is like in the beginning. The game is about giant robots and also like 5 different time periods and also like way more crap. It is so complicated and insane. It is way more insane than that. They keep adding stuff and it gets crazier. But it's a lot of fun. And the other one that I played and finished is Siberia. What is it called? It's the new one. Siberia something of the past or whatever. Siberia is like a long running PC point and click adventure series that's been around for quite a while, and they're very well regarded. And this is the first one that I played, but it does have like a recap of them, and it was really good. It was a really fun story. Nice. About like this lady trying to find this other lady from the past because she found like a painting that looks like her. She found the painting trying to escape from like a salt mine that she was a prisoner in. Like it's also kind of crazy, but like, yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot less like, you know, threatening and, you know, horror than the Quarry, which is like you fear that if you mess up a QTE or something, you're just gonna get absolutely, you know, your throat ripped out by like a monster or something. Yeah. Which can happen in the Quarry. I messed up.
I haven't played that one. I played Until Dawn, which is exactly the same thing, really. But
I love Until Dawn.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Until Dawn.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, like, it's like a bait and switch as well, isn't it? Because you think it's like a I don't want to spoil anything. People haven't played it, but yeah, I didn't expect it to turn the way it did. Like, you know, halfway through.
Yeah. I won't say anything about the Quarry, but it does operate similar, not exactly. I don't know. You'll have to. I recommend it. I got
Is it on PC as well?
I think so. I got it on PS5 for the holiday sale. It was like 50% off. So instead of paying like $70 or whatever the hell it was only like 40. So
okay.
I was like, I'll play it for 40 because these kind of games like Until Dawn, I went back and I 100%ed all of the achievements for it because it was so much fun. So I did a run where everyone died. I did a run where everyone lived. I got all the collectibles and stuff. Doing a run where everyone dies is a lot of fun because you just purposely mess up every single QTE and everyone is just running through the forest. They trip. And then they run into like a tree branch, and then it's just like the biggest doofuses of all time.
It's great as well. Like it's characters that you don't like as well. You can just make them die.
I mean, there was that one girl in Until Dawn who was like, if you played it, you know, she's pretty terrible. One thing I will say about the Quarry is like all the characters are fairly. I'm not gonna say they're all fairly likable, but they're all like you can understand. None of them are like egregious. Like I didn't hate any of the characters. Like I didn't want any of them to die, even though some of them made incredibly stupid decisions that you had no control over. You're like, why the hell are you doing this? Like this is why you're in this situation because you're a dumbass. But like, you know,
well, it's funny.
Anyway, it's good. It's good.
That very much reminds me the full death run reminds me of those videos from back in the day when Heavy Rain first came out for the PS3.
Oh my god!
My god! It's just every compilation of like just doing nothing for all the QuickTime events, and you're like running through this like market or this mall or whatever, and
just
you're just running
falls
into absolutely everything.
That's so good.
And then there's the classic glitch where you're in like it's like the last area of the game or something where you're in like a shipping yard and you're looking for your son, and for some reason it glitched out because you could press X to yell Sean, which is your son's name that you're looking for.
It's Jason.
No, because there's like
a
whole
Sean.
thing.
No, Sean's on the end. I'm sorry, Jason. Jason
It's
is
like the
at the
last thing.
beginning. Sean is at the end. So Jason, you can
like...
do the glitch at the beginning too, where you can still keep pressing X and go, Jason, 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 and you can do that. You're walking around the mall, clicking the button, yelling, trying to look for your son because he's gone lost.
Oh yeah, that's the mall scene. Yeah,
and then you could keep pushing the button, and it can glitch. And so you're talking with someone, and you can push the button, and it's just like Jason.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Favorite one for Sean is this
Sean.
like huge climactic event. This is the very last thing I'm going to say, but it's super important. For anybody who hasn't seen this, please go look up the like heavy rain Sean glitch. It's extremely important. But like it's the same sort of thing where it's this really like tense, heavy scene where you're running through. I think you're being chased by somebody. I've never actually played Heavy Rain. I've just seen this. But you're running through this like shipping yard and it's raining and it's super tense. You're running, looking around for your kid who has been like kidnapped by somebody or just whatever. Yeah. And you finally come across him, his like limp, lifeless body, and you pick him up. And like, it's the same sort of thing. It's like this really tender moment. You're like holding your son in your arms and you're just yelling, Sean! Sean! Like, objectively, if you're playing the game, I'm sure it's like such a heartbreaking moment.
No,
but if you're just jamming X to yell Sean, it is the funniest thing ever.
I've played it. It's ridiculous. The game is it's fun. It's a fun experience. It's not good. I'll put it that way. It's fun.
It was the first
fun, but not good.
of its kind.
Oh geez, it's like really pretentious too. It like tries to be like this grand thing, but it's so dumb. And like the killer reveal at the end is dumb. Like the whole thing is just dumb. I won't spoil it if anyone wants to play, but you can probably pick it up on like sale for like $5 or something now.
Was it PS3? Was it Heavy Rain?
Yeah,
PS3.
Back in the good old days of PS3.
It was originally PS3, but they remastered it for PS4. And since it's remastered for PS4, you can get it for PS5. So you can get it for anything. It's kind of like Beyond Two Souls, which is also just insane. Just I like these kind of games. They're fun. I
always saw the cover, but I didn't realize it was like a quick time event sort of style game. It's like the cover's like a piece of origami, isn't it? That sort of thing. Yeah,
it's a piece of origami in a puddle. It's like a crane or a boat.
The killer is called the Origami Killer, which is why.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you're trying to find the origami killer, and the main character. This is not spoilers. Like the main character has like visions, like some sort of psychic link with the killer or something, but it's never explained. And like I don't know, just it's dumb. It's real dumb.
It is unintentionally extremely hilarious.
No joke. No, actually no joke. Robin and I make the Jason joke a lot.
Jason.
Like it's
pure different tones going on.
He's got
Jason!
like four.
Jason.
He's got like 4 different tones, and they like cycle through them when you're walking through the mall. And you can do it's so good. You can just walk up to people's faces, get right in their face, and just yell Jason. Jason!
Heavy Rain glitch compilations are a great way to spend an afternoon.
Wow.
Oh man. Okay. Well.
On that note, we should cap it off so you can all go and watch it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I've been Azz from Go Again Gaming. You can find me on Twitter, Go Again Gaming AZ, and on YouTube at Go Again Gaming. So that's pretty much where you can find me. I've been the host for today, and I'll throw it over to Bill.
I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on Twitter at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at Spike Feeders Fab. We just recently uploaded our first new video of 2023, and it's another Goliath Gauntlet series featuring Mechanoid Dash as the challenger. So if that interests you at all, please feel free to check it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
I watched it. It's good. I await more Mechanoid goodness.
They will be on the way.
Yeah.
I did a little. I did a little edit for your video as well, didn't I?
I think so. Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah.
4
yeah.
cans in your hand still? Yeah, I got 4 cans in my hand.
Oh
still.
yeah. I did see that.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Brilliant.
Nice. And I'm Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. You can find me at Red Zone Rogue, basically anywhere. Yeah, that's about that. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what we're going to be speaking about next week, but as always, if you like this episode, make sure you like the video and do all that good stuff, and leave a comment in the section below as to what your favourite cards have been from this year. If we missed any, what have you been your favourites? Let us know.
If you are watching this far, like 2 hours in or whatever this is, type down below the word to type, Jason.
Jason!
Or it could be Sean.
Yeah.
But one of those.
Either one.
Jason or Sean.
Jason! Sean!
Jason.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Always appreciated, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Jason!
Jason.
Jason!